In the last few years, LEGO has given us a rainbow of Phase 2 clone troopers. Some of them awesome, some of them not as much. All that being said, we have never had so much clone variation on the shelves all at one time, so I'm going to make some MOCs and dioramas for each of the Phase 2 clones. Let's start with some of my favorites, the Shock Troopers. In my opinion, these troopers are the least affected by the helmet hole conundrum and actually still look pretty nice, minus of course Commander Fox.
Oh brother, this guy stinks!
We're going to use the 16x16 Technic plate as a base, and of course it's going to be a Coruscant MOC for obvious reasons. What I want to do is make a bit of a lower ground prison entrance with the gate in the background using some dark gray pieces to capture the lower levels of Coruscant feel, the griminess and the dirtiness. Now it's time for some of the minifigures, and we're going to have a couple of named guys in here too. Commander Fox escorts Chancellor Palpatine to a lower level prison with a squad of Coruscant Guard troopers to question a recently captured prisoner who they suspect was working with the Separatists to infiltrate the government and set up an attack on the capital planet. I really do like this build. It's super simple, but I do like the way it displays the minifigures in a way that would be kind of day-to-day since they aren't often seen on the front lines of major battles. Next up, we have Ahsoka's 332nd Battalion troopers, and these ones, they just don't look that great with these holes, especially when they already made much better ones without them. Either way, these troopers only showed up in the Siege of Mandalore, so we will be making a diorama, also on a 16x16 Technic plate for these guys. For the Death Watch Mandalorians, I'm just going to have to use these regular Mandalorians from the current battle pack because that's what I already have. Following a grueling battle between Republic forces and the Death Watch Mandalorians, the 332nd troopers have cornered the Mandos and forced them into an initial surrender, while Vaughn and the others chase the retreating troopers underground. This build was neat, and I love to use these clear pieces for the jetpack troopers, but due to the nature of the 332nd clones, I was kind of limited on what I could build with them, and didn't feel like building a massive Mandalore MOC. Now we move on to the 187th Battalion, or Mace Windu's Attack Squad. When these came out, it was a bit of a surprise, but a welcome one. Technically not canon, but also kind of canon. I'm going to go and use 3 of these Technic plates with one stacked on the others, just for some texture and terrain. For the build, I want to combine some Clone Wars era with a post-original trilogy era, making the MOC on Jakku. I know Jakku basically ended up being great value Tatooine, but I felt like there was some potential established in Battlefront, the Aftermath books, and in The Force Awakens. I'm going to go and build some rugged terrain and an entrance to some ruins of an old temple. Adding in these figures, this will be the first MOC that will include some battle droids taking on the clones. On the western edges of the Inner Rim, Mace Windu and his 187th Battalion were sent to Jakku to investigate reports of Sith activity on the desert planet. After arriving to find the ruins of an old temple, they were quickly ambushed by a group of battle droids, cutting the mission short. It's a pretty simple build, but I really like using the light tan and dark tan colors for desert and harsh terrains. I also like the idea of maybe returning to this planet, maybe making a large-scale Battle Jakku MOC one day, but that's a job for another day. Now we move on to arguably some of the most popular troopers out there and the most controversial since they were the debut of the helmet holes, the 212th troopers. We will definitely be using the Commander Cody, which I think they did a pretty good job on, despite the issues with the normal troopers. This MOC will be on 2 16x16 plates, and I want to make Umbara. We all know about the 501st arc on Umbara, but the 212th were very much in play too. I wanted to make them kind of on the outskirts between their battles on the way to the capital city, kind of in a long, flat terrain. Deep in the dark, open lands of Umbara, the 212th Legion works their way towards the capital city, working to regroup and plan their next strategy for the incoming attack. I won't lie, this is my least favorite of all the ones I'll build today. I didn't really have the parts I needed to fully maximize the Umbara terrain, like the dinosaur tails, etc., but I like the posing and the idea of revisiting this build in the future. We can't make this video without talking about the boys in blue, the 501st. Arguably the most popular clone legion in all of Star Wars. I wanted to make them a solid build featuring Captain Rex. I don't have a time lapse for this one, so we're going to go and just skip right to the final build. In the jungles of Naboo, the 501st region, led by Captain Rex, just stopped a Separatist ambush, but not without some serious injuries. Rex is sending one of the men back on a bark speeder to take the injured trooper to Theed for medical assistance, while the rest stay back to ensure another separatist attack squad isn't incoming. I really enjoyed this build and it might be my favorite of the video, using 4 of these Technic plates and different layers of green and brown to layer and form a natural terrain. With the grass pieces, these really thin super trees, give it a very natural, deep in the jungles of Naboo feel. Last but certainly not least, the long-awaited Phase 2 Shinies, or regular white clone troopers, the army building specialties. For this mock, I'm going to go and use a full 32 by 32 base plate and make a ground level of a multi-story hangar. For the sake of this video, it won't have a roof or be a full-on mock since the rest are closer to dioramas. I want to make this one a little bit bigger, but we'll kind of split the difference. I made some matching interior walls out of plates and tiles, and these pipe pieces to go along on the side, and this back wall with a few racks for guns. My initial goal was for this to fit a fighter tank, but I mismeasured the proportions just a bit. So instead, we will continue to build and adjust. For fun and continuity, I will use the speeder from the battle pack because it's a little bit too bad of a speeder to use in just about any other situation. So we'll go ahead and use it in this mock. Setting up the figures throughout, posing them in unique ways is always fun, making everything look like standard operating procedure. What started out as a quiet morning quickly flipped into chaos after the alarm for a separatist force was coming out of hyperspace, forcing the clone squad to armor up and get ready for battle, grabbing their guns, jetpacks, and sounding the alarm for other clone squads to prepare. This was a fun build. I thought about going all out and making a true clone base, since I technically have never actually made a clone base.
What?
I know, shocking, but I wanted to keep this closer in line with the other builds. Maybe in the future I will get to build an actual legitimate clone base. This was really a fun challenge for me to make a few unique builds, all for these Phase 2 clone troopers we've gotten in the last couple of years. It's my first build video in a long time, and I'm excited to be getting back into things, with hopefully more to come in the near future. Let me know down below what your favorite builds in this video were, and what you'd like to see coming up next. You know the drill with the like, subscribe, and all that fun stuff, as it helps out the channel a lot, and we'll see you all again next time.